All right, here we are again. This is Will with Lost Visions Performance. We have the Audi A3 in again on another video. This one more or less is kind of more of a general maintenance install. This is just going to be for replacing the spark plugs. So very important part, especially on a car that you have tuned, you're doing mods on and everything. It is recommended to change your plugs much earlier than the advertised maintenance interval, I should say. So if they're saying 80,000 miles, it's probably best to change them around 40 or 50. If it's around 60,000 miles, probably better to go around 30 or 40. Why? Because you're putting these through a lot more stress than they were designed to take in a standard driving, everyday aspect. You're dealing with higher boost, burning more fuel, running a lot higher RPM, and probably a lot more wide open throttle pulls than they intended when they set up the original regulations for these. Either way, to keep it running at its best, we recommend to change your plugs early and often. Especially on a setup like this, it's really not hard to do. There's no reason you can't do it. So if you have any questions on changing the plugs on your Volkswagen or Audi 1.8 or 2.0 liter turbo from around 2014 to now, this should give you the confidence you need to be able to do it yourself. Or if you're like, fuck that, I'm paying somebody, well, at least you know what they had to go through to change them. All right, first thing you got to do is remove the engine cover. It just pops right off of there. Just sits on these four little dildos here, little rubber grommets there. Just be careful pulling up on it. Sometimes it'll go a little bit brittle, so you don't want to crack it, so just work it real easily pulling it up there. Then these are your 4 ignition coil packs. We'll have to undo the plugs going to them. These ones are kind of difficult. A lot of people break them. So what you have to do is you have to push down on them hard, squeeze that tab, pull up on it, but they are all kind of linked together. So you got to get them up a little bit, one at a time, and then they will all wiggle off of there. But still attached to this harness. Have to undo each coil's individual ground. Those are all 10 millimeter for the 4 of them, and then you can pull out the stud bolts, and the actual ignition coil themselves will be able to come out, and then we will have access to the spark plug. So one key thing with these as well, the ignition coils on these are famous for getting stuck. They actually, I'll show you with this one. Rotate it back a little bit. Pull up on that. Starting to come. But it is unharmed, so you got that to look forward to. So now we have all these undone, got our studs out, coil packs are officially pulled up and out of the way. Do be careful with your harness, you don't want to break anything on it. You don't have to undo all this stuff, you just got to pick it up enough for you to come up off the coils so you can get them out. So now we can go one at a time, swapping out our plugs. Alright, so we have a side-by-side comparison of the old plug and the new plug. Hard to see in the video, I know, but there is a difference in the gap range on that. This one is worn down pretty noticeably. And it looks like this one was probably running pretty high in the cylinder temperature range. Other than that, looks like it's burning pretty clean, but probably a little hot. So on this new tune, you better double check that and make sure everything's going good with that. We did double check the gap on this plug before we install it. Customer wants it between 24 and 25 thousandths. This one's right at 25. Always good to put a little bit of anti-seize on your plugs, especially on cars with aluminum heads. And when you're tightening it down, you don't need to go too crazy tight. Just get it nice and snug in there. Just enough to get that crush washer to seat properly. Got electric grease on your coil. You don't need to put a ton in there, just a little bit like that. That'll help get in there. That'll help it make better contact, better continuity, and help against any moisture in there, making sure you don't have issues. Alright, so we've got all of our plugs changed, all nice and tight in there. Got all our coils set back in. Always make sure that they are all sitting properly before you tighten them down. Put back in our stud bolts before all those go in there. Then our ground straps, our nuts on top of that. Plug these back in, bang the cover back on, and we'll be good to go. Alright, spark plug install is done. Got all our coils back in and mounted. Got the stud bolts all in, ground straps on for each coil, 4 10mm nuts on top. Got these all plugged back in nice and tight. Let's double check, make sure they are actually fully seated on there. Went ahead and greased up the little dildos so our cover can sit on there nice and easily and pop off a little easier than it did last time. Overall, not a hard job to do. Takes about 20-30 minutes or so. So, pretty simple job. Hopefully this helps you if you're going to be doing this on your Volkswagen or Audi. Anytime you are replacing your spark plugs, even though you are buying brand new plugs, always look at them, especially around the base, anywhere in the porcelain. Make sure they're not cracked, because that can cause you a lot of issues when you change your spark plugs. Sometimes they'll get dropped in the box and have a crack, cause you all kinds of problems. You'll start it up and have all kinds of misfires you didn't have before, and trying to figure out what you did wrong, and it was just a bad plug. Anyways, we didn't run into that on this, but always something to watch out for. Make sure, always double check all your gaps. Even if they are a pre-gap plug, still good to double check them, just so you can make sure, like I said, if they've been dropped or tampered with or anything like that, someone else had them, messed them up, or turned them. Always look at the ground electrode and everything, make sure it all looks good before you install it. Like I said, save yourself some time later. So hopefully this helps you to do your own tune-up, or at least you know what is involved if you're paying someone to do it. If there's anything on this that we did not cover, any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. And well, thanks for watching and happy modding.